This is Zach with Intro to Computing. I'm going to do a extremely quick Magica Voxel demo, just to kind of give you an idea of how to get started and what to do. So a couple things just getting started. I have this browser open here, this Magica Voxel 126 squared voxel piece. This is something that can be useful for you to have downloaded, because you'll want to use that to kind of start with opening inside of here. So I'm in Magica Voxel right now. I'm going to open up that piece by going up in the upper right hand corner with that folder, clicking that little open, going to my downloads area, and clicking on 126 squared. So what this is, it's just kind of a blank canvas. Otherwise, you start with a model, then you have to kind of break out of it. But anyway, this can be kind of useful to start with. Just a few things. I'm not going to go through every, facet of this, but basics are holding the right mouse button to click and rotate around, and then using your mouse wheel to zoom in and out. If you're on a PC, you can hold down the Alt button and click and drag. If you hold the Alt button and then click your middle mouse button, then you can kind of pan with it. So like that. But I guarantee you it's way easier to use a mouse. So if you don't have one, I would get one. Okay, next part, just up here in your brushes, you can kind of play around with these, but basically the ones that you're going to use the most are this one, that's a box mode brush, a face mode brush, and a voxel brush. This one over here is a line brush. It's pretty useful as well, but those are kind of like your main ones. This one is a center mode brush. But anyway, I want to start with a box mode brush here. The other part of Magica Voxel is there's three kind of categories here: attach, erase, or paint. So you can basically add things, you can take away things, or you can paint on top of things that you've made. Since we don't have anything yet, we're going to make something. So with my box mode brush on and this click on attach, I'm just going to make a chicken like we did earlier today. So I'm going to click and kind of drag this. And I have sort of the beginnings of something. Earlier we kind of drew it up on this wall. I'm going to do this one a little bit different. I'm going to take my face brush with this attached. And I'm just going to click and I can click and hold and it'll kind of drag up and down. Okay. So that's looking pretty good. The face brush just adds to that front face. Okay, next, this is like a chunk of marble. I want to carve some things out of here, like the body of this. So I'm going to click on my box brush, and then instead of being on attach, I'm going to go to erase. And I'm going to kind of click and figure out how far I want this to go in. See, I'm zooming, I'm going at a different angle. I'm just kind of clicking and dragging, taking this away. I could do it like that. There's multiple ways of doing any of this. If that's confusing, this can also be useful. Just clicking on your face brush, erase, and then, one at a time clicking those away. Whichever you're comfortable with. Okay, I'm going to get this body of the chicken down here. Again, if this is a little too fancy, getting rid of things like that in the erase mode, I can just kind of get rid of that first part of it. Get rid of it like that. Still on face mode, I'm gonna shorten this up. Okay. So things are looking pretty good. Now I need to kind of get that red thing on top of its head. I'm just gonna pick a red color now. Any of these parts on the left-hand side, that's just your color palette. You can pick specific colors, but it pretty much has everything for you. I'm going to go to my box mode and make sure I'm clicked on attach. And then I'm just going to make one of these things. I go to face. Just going to add on to this a little. And then I'm going to go to erase. I'm going to get rid of some parts. I'm going to click on my voxel brush. This one we haven't used yet. Right now it's set for 1 voxel wide, and the voxel is just, you know, a 3D pixel. I'm going to set this for maybe 4. See the difference that makes? So I'm just going to vary that up a little bit. Okay, looks good enough. I'm going to bring that back down because I'm going to need that later. Okay, next part, I'm going to make a beak. So I'm going to take my box. I'm going to go to attach. Gonna get some nice kind of orange color here. Okay, now I'm going to go to my face, and then I'm going to add on to it. I'm going to make some legs down here. There's this mode where you can mirror things, but just to keep things not very complicated, I want to just add on to it normal style. I'm in the voxel mode here. I'm just going to click on one of these guys. Oops. Again, these are just as basic as you can get, but you can obviously spend some more time on it. Look at those little feet. I think I'm gonna do like the crossy road feet. Okay. I'll show you something that you can do as well. I'm going to get rid of this foot by just going to erase. I'm just going to copy and paste this one over here. I'm going to take my selection tool, and it's down here. I have this little box selected. Here's an important part where it says select and box. I'm going to actually click on rectangle. So if I do this, I can kind of get everything that I want inside the selection box. See how that's selected everything? Now I'm going to hit Command C or Control C, and that'll copy that. Then I'm going to hit Control V or Command V to paste it. And once I do that, you won't really see anything, but I know that I pasted it. Here's the Move tool right to the left of this selection area. I'm going to click on the Move tool, and I'm going to click and then drag this over, and then that shows that I made that foot. Okay, now before I move on, this is still a selection. I want to deselect that, so I'm going to hit Command D or Control D as in dog, and then that will deselect everything. Okay. I just need to do a couple more things. I think I'm going to add just a little bit. Whoops. I want to get this white color again, then add a little bit on top of it. So in order to do that, I'm going to color pick it. So I'm going to click on my color picker tool and click on that white. I'm going to go to attach. I've got my face attached, my face brush there. I'm just taking away a little bit. And I'm going to erase some and use my voxel brush. Creates this up a few. And I want to see what this does. Just want to give it maybe a little bit more interesting angle. I just did an undo button. That's same rules apply in this as other programs. Okay, I'm gonna change my brush size again so I can get a little bit more specific. Okay, that's fine. Next, I want to use the paint tool. We haven't used this yet. We've only used attach and erase so far. Paint tool. Just click on your paint part here. I'm going to use the voxel because I'm going to paint in some eyes. So I want to click black. And then I've got paint selected. And if I have paint selected, I've got my voxel part here. Then I can just paint on top of my model. If you go overboard, I can use my color dropper here, get that white again, and then, whoops, go to my paint mode and paint that part out. Okay, so it's looking pretty good. Now I'm going to go into, I want to render this thing. So next thing I need to do, before I do that, I want to give it just a really basic background. So I'm going to pick a green here, and I go to click on my F for my face. I'm going to go to attach. I'm going to be adding these until it goes up to its feet. It's a little too far, so I'm going to go to Control Z to undo. That's perfect. I could even get some kind of maybe brown parts here. Go to my paint. Whoops. Go to Voxel Mode. And this looks like it might be maybe in a chicken coop or something. I don't know. I don't want to paint its feet though. Anyway, you could spend some time with that. I might even kind of do a side kind of dirt part down here. I'll go to my box mode, pick a nice brown. Look at that, perfect. Okay, now I want to go to render. So far we've only been in model mode, and here's where you render. I'm going to click on this part, and once I do that, I have a bunch of different options I can use to play with. This blue bar here shows how long it will take to render completely. So whenever you're taking your pictures, just make sure that goes all the way. One thing, I don't know if I really like that green, so I want to change that. So what I'm going to do is color pick that green. Might actually go to paint, go to my face. Just going to change that slightly. Okay, render mode. It's a little better. Now here, there's a few different things I want you to pay attention to. I'm going to click on all. If I do that, it gives me a bunch of different options to play with. You can hit the down arrow here to see what each of them do. I would encourage you to kind of play around with some of those options. One of the main ones here is your sun, and this controls the angle and then the rotation of it. So if you look at this part, if I hover over that rectangle, I click and drag, it's moving the angle of the sun, and then this controls the rotation of it. I'm just gonna keep pushing the rotation until it's kind of got a good composition. That looks pretty nice. I can control the intensity over here. I might crank that down slightly. And this is looking pretty good. I'm gonna take my picture. This is kind of blown out over here though, so maybe I'll change the sun slightly. Or drastically. Okay, that's looking more realistic. It's more drama. I'll add some intensity. Yeah, I like seeing more of that ridge. Okay, so I'm gonna wait for this to render, and then I'm going to take a picture. So I'm gonna click on this camera down here in the lower left. Once I do that, I'm gonna just stick this in my downloads folder. I call this Coke _ Zach _ chicken. And then I'm gonna save this voxel model. I can do that up here. This is your save and this is your save as button. I want to click on save as. Okay, I'm saving that, and this is the turn-in folder. I'm gonna just upload these guys. And then that's it. Now with these, I expect yours to be much more complex, more time put into it, but this will get you started. I hope this helps, and have fun with it too. There is a ton of YouTube tutorials and voxel artists out there that you can look at for inspiration. And if you have any trouble, just send me an email. All right, thank you.